Yeah. We how you doing today, Theo?
I'm good. I'm good. I was a little bit late to joining this because I was making my impassioned Herbert is better than Burrow arguments on TikTok. But
I understand.
yeah,
I know how you feel about this. Um it's um people definitely are a little biased towards it because of Super Bowl and whatnot, but it does. I can't keep bringing it up, man. All I'm saying is Burrow's the best quarterback in the AFC. No one was giving Cam the benefit of the doubt when all this happened in 20
God damn it.
2015. It's the difference between how certain quarterbacks get talked about even when they do the same thing, not just Cam and Burrow, but like all the time, is ridiculous.
Speaking of basketball, how do you think Cam Newton would do as a basketball player?
I like to think he'd be pretty good. He's got the hype for it.
He does
I
have the
mean,
hype for it. He could probably dunk. He's accurate.
always he's got to be able to dunk.
Have you
Pair
ever
him with
seen
Lamelo.
T. Higgins? I saw these were making the rounds a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago. T. Higgins highlights from his basketball days. They're sick. He's like dunking from the free throw line. That guy needs to that guy needs to get in the league. He needs to retire from the NFL and join the Suns or something.
I don't think. Yeah, I would. If you could do both, you'd do basketball. Let's
Yeah.
say, let's say you were like both a star quarterback. Maybe let's say you're Kirk Cousins level, or you can be Marcus Smart. Which one would you pick?
You got to pick Marcus Smart. No risk of early death with the CTE. Bigger contracts, guaranteed contracts.
Well, I'm
I
saying
guess
I mean Kirk Cousins. Well, I guess that's kind of a
Kirk
weird example
Cousins
because
is
he's a fully okay. Well, who's
quarterback is a little different, but like if you could be like a tight end or a small forward, you gotta you gotta go with the small
yeah.
forward. Anyway, hello chat everybody. This is done with the football talk for at least a couple things. Did everybody see that Mikhail Bridges game winning shot the other game sealing shot the other night? Did you see that he climbed to second in the defensive player of the year rankings, while also being an extremely efficient player on the offensive end, robbed of an all-star? He should be playing in the all-star game.
Yeah, no, I mean second best Bridges in the league.
Best
Second,
Bridges.
he's seems like a great guy, but he's no Miles
He's a
Bridges,
great
I
guy.
fear.
Uh,
Um, everyone like and subscribe and follow on all platforms. Thanks.
Giddy is
I was
that
reading a
guy.
chat.
Giddy is legitimately like one of the more valuable rookies. Like he is
Yeah.
so good at playmaking as a teenager. As a teenager, he's seeing the field, the court this well and making the passes that he's making. Again, we've talked about this a million times on this, but you just need playmakers are so valuable, and every single team needs one. Like they need one just as much as they need, I think, like a
Well,
really high level score.
and
So
that's what sets up the Thunder so well. If you have Shea and Giddy as your one and your two, having the ball in the hands of somebody who can set everyone up all the time um, is just so valuable. And
yes,
I feel like I trust Giddy to become a better scorer more than I trust a great scorer who's young to become the passer that Giddy is.
yeah, yeah. No, I love Shea too. I think that he is one of the more underrated players in the league because he does play for the Thunder, which is probably the thinnest roster of any roster in the NBA right now. But man, with all the picks they have, and so far, I mean, they've got two guards that are just stars in my opinion, or future stars in my opinion. They just need to fill out that front court a little bit. And I mean, you're talking a really dangerous team. And Giddy, we talk about white boy of the year all the time, whether that be Hero or Jack Harlow or Joe Burrow. Giddy's gotta have good odds for being white boy of the year, maybe 2023, 2024. I also like Giddy because he stitched my TikTok that one time when I was bringing him his shot, and he stitched my TikTok, and I like Giddy. I did get him his shot. I walked all the way to Oklahoma City.
Somebody said, should Cleveland move on from Colin Sexton? It's a tough one because I don't know what's gonna happen with Colin Sexton this offseason. Who knows? And he's not super strong defensively, and he's not a super strong playmaker. He's a great scorer, but he's maybe not the best pairing with Garland. And if you have to pay him a whole big bunch of money, committing to Colin Sexton might not be the best idea.
The playoffs will reveal this. I think the playoffs, like, what do we need to win a playoff series? Like, where, if they don't win the title, where did we fall short? If they fall short, like, oh, we didn't have a guy who could just go get a bucket. If that's where you fall short, you keep Sexton. If it was, defense that kills you there, you should trade Sexton for whatever fills that role. I think the playoffs kind of dictate what they do with Sexton, and I feel like it's kind of tough to say right now because you don't really know what they need to win a title quite yet. I think that the playoffs kind of dictate that. That's my take.
I mean, well, the problem with him is, okay, Colin Sexton's a really good player, but let's say you do decide you need more scoring, and your options are sign him, or you could try to give up some picks and go like sign and trade for Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
What would you do? I mean, it's like you can committing the money to Colin Sexton is saying that's the core I want to roll with. And I just think that there's maybe some more, or like, what if Donovan Mitchell wants out? And your options are just sign Colin Sexton or like spin the house to try to go get Donovan Mitchell. Not saying you necessarily want to go to Cleveland, but I think I think there's just better, more aggressive options than just re-signing Colin Sexton.
Yes, I would agree. I'd agree. It kind of depends on who's available. I think I'd rather have Colin Sexton than Bradley Beal, actually. I don't know if that's maybe a hot take, but I'd rather build around the core than we have. Because, like, even if you add Beal to that, I just don't know if that's a finals team. Like, it could maybe be, but like Beal, I just kind of would rather. Again, I am kind of more pro keep the core together than maybe some people are, but but like if it's Mitchell I think is a little bit more legit than Beal is. So if it's Mitchell, I think I would probably move on, and he's younger. So yeah, it kind of depends on who's available. If the opportunity comes, like, yeah, but if it,
I think I'd
offer.
I'd easily rather have Bradley Beal. But I do see where you're coming from, where maybe it's like that's too aggressive too soon. And you'd rather have someone who fits the timeline, because I mean, who knows how good Garland's going to get, and who knows how good Mobley's going to get. And Allen's already, I mean, he's an all-star, or he has did he get the replacement spot? He's close to it.
So that team is Jared Allen got the replacement spot.
I think Allen, that's what I meant.
So yeah, they've got two.
Yeah, Garland, they have two. I mean, they're the 2 seed right now. The defensive core is so crazy. So if you can go get yourself another like shot creator like Beal, that's a stacked team.
Yeah. And if Mobley takes another jump, fills out his frame a little bit more. I mean, I see the vision there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, you can just wait if you're the Cavs, but okay, so you're super aggressive. Your picks are gonna suck, or you're super good already. You have your core now. If I can trade a bunch of my picks to add to that core, to add another big player to that core, I'm gonna do it. So I don't think it'd be unreasonable.
Yeah, I think so too. Thoughts on the Timberwolves? Timberwolves are a good team, man. I'm excited to see them finally thrive a little bit. I saw Kat retweet the other day something about how like Wiggins, Levine, and himself are all stars now, and said like, oh, I wish this core got a little bit more time, because Flip Saunders like thought that would work out, and then like you see now the vision there that would have worked out. But I just thought that was an interesting thing to look back at, that all those guys are on the same team, although I don't know if it works out quite like it did in Chicago and Golden State. But that's the past. The current Timberwolves, I mean, they've got one of the best starting lineups in the league. They do. Like they're like starting five are as good as any starting five is, I think, like statistically. and just talent wise, just looking at him and D'Lo and Cat and Anthony Edwards, it's really high level. So I do think once they get to the playoffs, I do think they'll play in a playoff series this year. I think the depth and the defense will get them though once they're in that playoff series. I don't know if they'll make it past the first round, but I like them. They're a better team now than I've ever seen the Timberwolves be, I believe.
Yeah. You need Cat to step up in the playoffs. And their bench is just so miserable, but that's fixable.
Yeah.
Giannis is the best player in the league. It's not a bad take.
Not a bad take at all. And he better win. I win like $160 if he wins MVP. So let's start pushing that narrative a little bit more. But yeah, no, Giannis is ridiculous. I don't know what kind of body you put on him to stop him. You need like another Giannis basically, and there is no other Giannis. So yeah. And he's a good playmaker now. And, he still can't really shoot threes, but, he's either can Anthony.
He's starting to get a little bit more versatile from all three levels and whatnot. And dude, it's so funny. The playing the Hornets to wow, this center is really underrated pipeline is insane. It's happened like 10 times this season. Someone will play the Hornets, their center will go off, and everyone will be like, this center's actually so good. It's like, nah, did you just play they had a lineup yesterday with Mason Plumlee and Montrezl Harrell on the court at the same time. And then I forget who, I think maybe Oubre tried to drive in, and Plumlee and Montrez were in each dunker's spot, and then both of their defenders just immediately went in, and it was rough. They're a rough team to watch. They're very sad.
I've seen they lost what is it, 10 of their last 11 or something, and have a losing record now, something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, they're not serious until they get a real center. And I've said this a million times, but seriously, you don't need to pay any attention to the Hornets. They lose every single game for the exact same reason that they lose. Their offense is awesome. They have enough good offensive players, but they're just not about it on defense.
Is Giannis that good at shooting now? I don't think he's that good at shooting now. Is he? I'm looking at the numbers, the field goal. Oh, wait, no, percentage by distance. I guess it is up a little bit. Is this a career high for him?
What's my ideal free agent for the Hornets? DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he'd be solid.
DeAndre Ayton is not completely unthinkable, but what's that Moneyball scene where the dude's like, every time I say it, I'm an outcast or something Jonah Hill's character says. I
can relate.
If the Suns don't want to keep Ayton, the Hornets could trade away Hayward and easily sign him and sign Miles Bridges and stay under the cap. It's not unthinkable at all. Or stay under the luxury tax, I mean. Ayton would probably be a sign and trade. Who would you give up? You could give up picks. I mean, they'll probably keep their pick this year. PJ Washington would probably be a guy that they're interested in. Kelly Oubre would potentially be a guy that they're interested in. That would be,
bringing Oubre back. It's tough because they just traded Jalen Smith away, who is their rookie promising backup big. And you'd feel a lot better about parting with Ayton if he was still on the team.
That's what I was thinking.
The fact that he's gone, and he just had a really nice game for the Pacers the other night. I think he dropped 17 off the bench and shot really well. And he was good with the Suns too, but with Ayton and McGee, you need kind of the wing depth a little bit more than they need the center depth. So, and Torrey Craig obviously was a big part of them being in the finals last year. So I don't know how much I love that trade. Trading sticks away, but I certainly would feel better about parting with Ayton for some of these other guys if he was still there. But because he's not, obviously you wonder how long JaVale will keep doing it. But
no, they can have.
The road to replace Ayton gets kind of tough, especially if you're making a trade with the Hornets of all teams. You're
getting Mason Plumlee back. Mason Plumlee is starting.
I don't want to be the Hornets
and the Suns. So Ayton would be cool. Mitchell Robinson would be cool. Jalen Smith would be kind of cool. Although I feel like that's I like him, but I don't know if that's really the aggressive center move I want us to make. I really wanted Jakob Poeltl, but what the Spurs were asking for him, considering that he's just on one more year after this one, was probably too much because they wanted PJ Kai Jones and a first, and I don't have the stomach for that.
Luka top 5 right now. I agree. I'm a big Luka fan. I am. Even though I talk a lot of shit about the Mavericks, I still like Luka just because he's their only good player. I like Brunson a decent amount too, but I'd agree with this Luka. I agree with all Luka praise. Why are Pacers still bad? Well, they traded away a lot of their good players.
Yeah, they're not trying to win. That does make it harder. But yeah, I don't know. I like Halliburton still, though. I saw he had like 22 and 16 or something stupid the other night.
Yeah.
Top 5 sports.
Curling. Brunson is maybe the most underrated guard in the league right now. Spitting.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson's getting the max from Detroit. He's getting the Michael Porter Jr. money. I'm so upset, dude. I really thought my Cam Reddish will get paid like Michael Porter Jr. take was going to age beautifully if he played because I really thought he was going to put up those, and then they just don't play him. Actually, the coach doesn't want to play him. But I thought he was in a position to get that type of money.
Well, it's the take is sort of aging well because right after that trade happened, the immediate reaction was, holy cow, the Hawks just got fleeced. And then I remember you were like, they didn't get fleeced as much as you think, but your logic was a little bit wrong because you thought it would kind of be down the line where you're forced to pay him all this money. They actually got fleeced because the Knicks, I guess, think Reddish sucks and don't want to play him at all. So, but you were kind of right.
And that's the problem that Atlanta has. They can play Cam Reddish more, but then if they do, they have to pay him for his potential. It's going to cost so much. So like, no, I don't want to do that, especially since, maybe he's not helping us win as much right this second. And then he gets on the Knicks, and then Tom Thibodeau's like, I hate this guy, and he doesn't play him. So now you don't have to worry about the money, but now
you do have to worry about
first-round pick for what?
You do have to worry about the fact that he does not play. What do you think the most
underrated and overrated young cores? What is the team that you want us to say? Nobody. Whichever young core you're a fan of, man.
I don't know. I like the Magic. I think Cole Anthony is super underrated, so I'm going to say them, as I've talked about. I don't know. I guess I don't know.
I think that almost every young cores are kind of liable to be overrated.
Yeah.
Pacers maybe. I think the Hawks probably still. You have to. Trae Young is just so good that there's a lot of young cores that are maybe deeper that I wouldn't take over what the Hawks have right now. I don't think young cores are overrated like that. I really think they are. It's to win a championship. If that's the goal, if you don't have a guy who's like the guy, I don't know, who can be the guy. I don't know if you have that good of a young core.
Yeah, I mean, who was the young core when the Raptors won the finals? Like, they're really, I mean, it was Siakam and I guess like Giannis was like a young core but he was like a blossoming top player. It's not so much like a lot of all right players. It's more like who is the youngest great player. Like the Mavericks might have the best young core in the league because of Luka, who is young. They don't really have a core, but they have a young Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
So it's like, do they have the most underrated young core in the league, even though it's not like a bunch of like young guys who could be good, but they do have like a bona fide young superstar. So I guess I don't know the answer to that question. Like which young core is most likely to lead their team to like a finals? It's probably a core of one, whether that be Trae Young or Luka Doncic, and you surround him with another star via free agency, like the Suns did with Booker and Chris Paul, or the Raptors adding Kawhi with Siakam and some other guys and Van Vliet. So it's kind of like, I don't know. You could kind of say anybody. Grizzlies. Yeah.
I don't know if they're underrated, but they're really good. I agree.
Yeah.
You know what? The most important thing that a young core can do? Actually win games. And the Grizzlies are actually winning games. There's a lot of young cores who just never start winning games. So I agree. The Grizzlies are very good. Let me float something by you guys. I don't think Russell Westbrook will be that hard to trade next year.
The Knicks,
He is.
he should go to the Knicks. The
I'm
Knicks
dude.
would
No,
like him.
I'm telling you. First off, stop looking at it as a team. After this season, it's not like a team has to take on Russell Westbrook and has to play him 30 minutes a night. He costs $47 million, which is an insane amount, but you can buy him out. You don't have to play him. So all of a sudden, young teams they can deal with that. And the Lakers now would have 2 first-round draft picks in the future they could trade. And there's a lot of cool things they could do with that. Like for instance, if you're the Knicks, would you want to get off Julius Randle's contract?
Yeah, you would.
So if I offered you an expiring contract that matches that and a first-round draft pick, you might. I mean, that's not terrible. I could offer you 2. I don't know where they're going to value Randle because he's been a little up and down, but it's not unthinkable. Or what if you trade him to a team that opens up enough money to just take on the money straight up? Like a team like Orlando, who isn't going to go sign great free agents. They just want to take on the money. I'll give you 2 first-round draft picks way in the future that'll probably be pretty good. And then the Lakers could get a max slot. And they could go sign Ayton or something. It's not unthinkable, or Bradley Beal or whoever.
It's not unthinkable, and it may even be probable, because I can't imagine after this disaster class year, they're going to be like, well, let's run it back. And yeah, I do think like having like for the Magic or the Knicks, a team that has been, I mean, I guess the Knicks are a little bit different because they made the playoffs for like last year, but teams that have been bad for so long and dumpster fires, like Russ really can, make a team better, but it's a very specific kind of better, it seems like, where he kind of needs a ball in his hands, and it's not going to be like efficient and working with other superstars. And even with Harden, I guess in Houston it wasn't horrible, and with Beal and in Washington it wasn't horrible, but the Lakers just do seem to be he is bad right now. He is not in a good fit, and he's not really doing much to help a team win. But that's not to say that he straight up cannot do it. So like, yeah, I agree. A team like the Magic, where it's like you have that baseline and someone who can get you a bucket, while also, letting the guys around them experience some maybe more success than they have in the league. Like if you're trying to keep your Suggses around or your Cole Anthony's engaged, it's good to have a guy like Russell Westbrook on that team winning some games, and a veteran presence who's won some games. It's good for the whole young core to, I think, stay engaged. Same with the Knicks and same with a couple of other teams. So yeah, I think that we'll see Westbrook on a team next year that maybe isn't real good right now. And the Lakers freeing up that kind of space and whatnot.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of options for them next year. And if they just don't go out and try to get every guy who was an all-star 7 years ago, they can fix the team. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that, but I think Westbrook is very tradable. It's hard, but you can do it.
Yeah. It's a very specific type of team. Yeah. But it's not possible. It's Franz Wagner too. Franz Wagner. Like I said in the last thing, Franz
Wagner. What I did a whole video on where I thought free agents were going to go, but I forget who else I talked about.
Teach Bladen basketball. I don't know if we can teach Bladen basketball. I think Bladen's we keep telling him to play 2K. I think 2K is like the easiest way to learn all the players in the league.
Yeah. He knows De'Aaron Fox.
He does know De'Aaron.
He knows De'Aaron Fox very well.
He knows. He knows some Cavs players, and he knows LeBron.
Will the Hornets waste LaMelo's career? I don't think so. I think the Hornets aren't good now, and I do agree. Like they're probably not serious till they get a center, but it doesn't mean that their general manager's done a bad job so far. I think he's done a good job acquiring talent, and eventually he'll make the move to go out and get the final piece for the team to be competitive. But we're a year. I mean, he's played like 120 games, so there's a lot of time.
Yeah, no, the Hornets' timeline isn't exactly get Melo a ring right now. It would be nice to be ahead of schedule, and they're not really ahead of schedule. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, it's not like, holy cow. It's a total disaster there right now. I don't think so. There's a very glaring weakness. It's almost worse if it's like everything should be there and it's not working anyway. Like that's completely frustrating, and it's like, holy cow, what else can we do? Um, but that's not really the case in Charlotte. It's like, okay, you know, we know what we need. We haven't got it, but there will be opportunities to get it, I guess. So
Kupchak tried. It wasn't there for them. Like the trade was not there. It's easy to say, oh, you need to go get a center, but when people call every single trade, a fleece for somebody, trying to force something probably, you know, increases the odds that they end up getting fleeced. Like Jakob Pertl would have been a solution, but like I said, price tag too high.
what do I think the Wizards' ceiling is with Kristaps and Beal? Low. Saying that out
Probably
loud, I don't exactly see Kristaps and Beal hoisting the trophy at the end of the year. I'll just say that. Um, I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty low on Kristaps. I mean, the Mavs are trying to be competitive right now, and they traded him away, and that's not for no reason. They did not do that just to do it. I mean, Beal's hurt. Kristaps Porzingis will probably never play a full season ever again. So I would agree, pretty low.
Yeah, and is Kristaps isn't like he's not a number one. Like I know on ESPN, I heard them talking about post trade. They were like, the Mavericks wanted someone that when Luka goes to the bench can actually score by themselves, and Kristaps wasn't offering that, so they shipped him away for Dinwiddie. Now, the way Dinwiddie's been playing this year, I don't know if he's the guy you bet on to like to be that guy,
Yeah.
but he's got more potential in that area than Porzingis does. But yeah, Porzingis never healthy. Porzingis, kind of a passive big man. I'm with him, Matt. I'm not the world's biggest
So
fan either.
somebody
Tingis
asked,
Pingus.
Zion said to have another setback with his foot. I doubt he plays this year, honestly.
Yeah,
At
it
what
feels
point
like
do you
Michael
guys think we
Thomas.
start
He's Michael
talking about
Thomas.
him as a
He's Michael
bust?
Thomas.
So here's the interesting thing that can happen with Zion, right? Let's say, okay, so he's not playing a full season or even close to it this year. He got kind of close last year. First season, no, he didn't. If next year he misses 30, 35 games, is someone giving him the max? Like for sure guaranteed if he's never even come close to playing a full season. Right? It's not. I mean, I know you're like, oh, but it's not. I'm not talking about when Zion plays. I understand how good he is. Like I get it. Like I do. But he does not play full seasons. He hasn't done it yet. He hasn't done it one time yet.
Yeah.
That doesn't it'd be
If
a
it doesn't
huge
happen,
gamble.
if it doesn't happen next year, it gets it's dicey now. If he plays a full season next year, or even like a game in the high 60s, low 70s type of range, even you feel pretty good about it, assuming he plays well. But yeah, no, if he plays like 50,
I mean,
if he misses 20, 30 games next year, it
I'm talking
gets
Michael Porter Jr. money.
yeah.
I'm talking like, and I do think there's probably a team would be like, you know, the upside is so crazy high that we probably should, just for the sake of it, because it's really hard to get a guy like that. So if you can get a guy like that, maybe we can figure out the foot stuff. Maybe the Pelicans have done a bad job trying to keep him healthy or things like that. That can happen. So I do think a team would,
Yeah,
but I don't
think
think
so
it would be a
too.
slam dunk guaranteed. Yes, Embiid missed the first two of his career years of his career. He did, um, but Embiid has had injury problems his whole career,
Yeah.
and Embiid is more of the exception than the
Yeah,
rule.
for every Embiid, there's a lot more Porzingis's, I guess, or maybe that's not even the best example, but yeah.
Or it's like my comparison to that is, how when a rookie quarterback plays really bad and
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie season, so actually being bad means you're like Peyton Manning. It's true, And it's not in it does prove it's not impossible for for you to turn it around, but it definitely isn't a good thing. And it's
Yes.
not just like no big deal because one guy was able to come back from it. Because if there was
Yes.
never an example of it, then I don't think any team would ever try it.
Yes. I also think that's a bad because Peyton actually played really well his rookie season despite the interceptions. Like the sacks that the Colts took went from like the top of the league to the very, very bottom, which kind of canceled out all the picks. And he also like set the rookie touchdown record that year and picked up a ton of first downs and like overall made the offense was like in the top half of the league. This is a football thing, but I always get triggered when I hear people be like, Peyton sucked his rookie year. It's like, no, he did not. He carried the worst offense and made them like an above average offense despite some bad turnovers. But yes, I do understand what you mean. And you do hear it all the time where it's like, oh, Peyton threw a lot of picks. So the fact that Zach Wilson threw a lot of picks is not any sort of
It's
indication that he
good.
is bad.
It's great. He's just like Peyton. And but no, I'm super. I really hope Zion plays.
Yeah.
I really want to see him play. Don't get it twisted, but being healthy is the most important thing for a player, pretty much. Um, Jerome Ford bust. Come on, man.
No.
No.
I watched Jerome Ford when I was making my Ritter video just for through virtue of he's good. He's not a bust.
He is. He actually is good. I'm not.
He can catch. He's a powerful runner. He's a Bama transfer. He's a Bama guy.
Can the Nets win the East? Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. It just comes. Kyrie needs to play. KD needs to stay healthy. Ben Simmons needs to work well in the offense, and that is easily a team that can win the East. Now, they could also easily not win the East, because I do think they're a little prone to getting injured, and I do want, like, throwing Ben Simmons into the mix is just so insane, and I can't tell you how it's going to work out until I see it. I have no clue what they're going to do, but the team is talented enough to do it. So I would say yes.
Yeah, I mean, in their last 10, they're 1-9, right? And that's you got to think they'll turn it around at some point once KD gets healthy. And they're 7 games behind the Heat. I would put the odds of the Nets ending the season as the 1 seed pretty low. I don't know if I would bet on it, but they're certainly capable, at the peak of their powers. Absolutely. You would say they're capable. I would say it's probably harder than I don't know. I like the Simmons deal for them, though. I've been saying it the whole time as soon as I heard the rumors that I think Simmons and his playmaking and defense combined with the offense that KD and even Curry and Kyrie add is going to be solid. I think that's going to be a really, really dangerous team in the playoffs if they're healthy. Obviously, that's a big if, but I think peak of their powers Nets is still probably the team to beat, but obviously the peak of their powers Nets are just impossible to ever play, that if they ever actually play. It's literally impossible until New York changes their rules, which I don't think is impossible as the variant Omicron kind of winds down. I don't think it's absolutely out of the realm of possibility that as summer approaches and as the playoffs approach, New York laxes up a little bit on the vaccine, like Kyrie's vaccine thing, and he can play the whole time. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But until that happens, but Theo, Heat take aging well. All my basketball takes are aging well, dude. Like, what were the 2 teams I kept talking about before the season? It was the Heat and the Bulls. And those are the top 2 teams in the East right now, the Heat and the Bulls. So my basketball takes aged better than my football takes.
No.
Yeah.
Both those takes are money. Hey, and there was one more.
Which
Grizzlies.
one? Grizzlies and my Grizzlies take. Yeah, no, the 3 teams I was really high on before the season was the Heat, the Bulls, and the Grizzlies. And my logic for all of those takes was defense. And I trust every one of those teams to bring it every night with just the personalities they have on that roster. And just like their defensive baseline will just lead to a lot of wins. And, I look at the Grizzlies and the fact they were adding Jaren Jackson and the Heat, the fact that they were adding a playmaker like Kyle Lowry. And the Bulls, the fact they were adding someone like DeMar DeRozan. Again, it's my Suns mold. Like, how close do you fit the Suns mold? And I'm going to bet on the teams that fit that as close as possible. And that's why I've started. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, go ahead.
That's why I'm saying I'm about to talk about the Celtics, who are my new team that I'm locking on to as a team that I really think is dangerous. I mean, it's pretty clear they're dangerous because their record since 2022 started is ridiculously good. And I think that they're very legit, and that's going to continue for a while because I think that they've started to fit that Suns mold as closely as possible.
I think the big, if you want to pick underrated teams, the big two things: defense is always underrated and how much it matters. Like a good defensive team is always going to overperform what people expect, and playmaking, having good play. So a guy like Kyle Lowry always has a bigger. Chris Paul always has a bigger impact than people expect. They're not putting up a ton of points, but they're making a big impact.
Yeah,
and that's why, like, for instance, what's the other big team that's been exceeding expectations? Cavs.
Cavs, yeah.
Why are they great?
Garland.
Because they're good on
Garland
on
and Mobley. Yep, Garland
and why
assists, Mobley defense. Yeah,
and more specifically, they're good on defense because they have good interior defense, because they have good interior defenders. What's a team that's disappointing? Hornets. They don't have good interior defenders.
Hawks.
Hawks. Their defense is terrible. Granted, Clint Capella is not terrible, but
yeah,
there is sometimes where it's only so much one guy can do. Jazz always overperform, or not overperform because people know it now, but the reason why the Jazz are usually really good in the regular season, Rudy Gobert,
Yeah.
So
Knicks don't really have that like force in the interior or really someone who's like an elite playmaker either. Well, that was a team that I was low on. The Hawks were a team I was lower on. And the concept, I feel like I honestly, this is really the first year that I've done all this, but I truly believe like NBA is a little bit easier to predict than like NFL when it comes to takes, just because there's only like
so easily. Imagine if go back and look at the standings. I don't know how you would do this, but go back and look at the standings after the first 17 games. The Wizards were like a top 4 seed. But in the NBA, there's time for everything to even out a little bit more. There's less underdogs. There's still some, but you generally know what's going to happen. You generally know who's going to be the top teams. And the NFL, I mean, anyone can go on if you get hot at the right time, and NBA or NFL games in particular too, because I can change most NFL games on 1 or 2 plays. NBA, you can sometimes, but not nearly as many times, just because there's more possessions.
Yeah, no, you think of the drives that happen in an NFL season. There's probably, let's say, like 2 per quarter. Both teams touch the ball. Probably, I don't know exactly what the average is, but like 2 per quarter, maybe 4 quarters a game. That's like 8 possessions per game times 17 games. That's 136 possessions. That's like 2 or 3 NBA games. Like for a whole NFL season is like the amount of times you bring it like up the metaphorical field or court.
Yeah, imagine if both teams took like 8 shots a game and that was it.
Yeah.
How would the standings look? They'd look dumb.
And it's also difficult because it's like there's 5 players on the starting rosters for the NBA. And for the NFL, there's, 22 and just a lot of different moving parts. So when it comes to the NBA, I feel like it's just easier to just predict who's going to be good and who's going to be not. And I think like the key to that is like, obviously you need scoring, but like if you look at a team and it's like, okay, I think that defense and I see the defense and I see the playmaking from on a night in and night out basis, they're going to be pretty good. But anyway, that's how I've been right on all these NBA things, I guess, so far. But my new take is the Celtics will be in the Eastern Conference Finals, which is a little bit that one's a little bit hot, especially in the East, because there's a lot of teams in the East I think are good. But I mean, they're just on such a tear right now. The Celtics are, and you're lucky to score 100 points in a game. like against this team right now. And I think that's going to continue because Marcus Smart's not getting any worse at defense, and Derek White's not getting any worse at defense, and all their players are good
Well,
defenders.
you look at their starting five: Robert Williams, Jason
Yeah.
Tatum, Jalen Brown. I mean, that's ridiculous defense.
Yeah, Brown. Yeah, no. Adding on top of that, you know, in the playoffs, everything starts to tighten up a little bit, and you need someone who can go out and get you a. That's why Kobe has all these, you know, rings and MJ and all these, like, you need someone who can go out and just get you a bucket, because it's not like they're game planning you over the course of like weeks now, instead of just like a back-to-back turnaround. And, you know, it's game in, game out, and play shot creation like just gets turned up a notch. Which is why some, like, you know, the Jazz are such a good regular season team, but I guess Mitchell is that guy. But some of the cracks in the armor start to get exposed. But I don't think that's a crack that can get exposed with the Celtics, because
with the Jazz, it's like part of the problem is that their defense is not really that good. It's just Rudy Gobert, but the perimeter defense is pretty sad.
Yeah.
And that works on, you know, it's like, oh, we got this team off of back-to-back. They're just going to, like, that works a little bit better. But then all of a sudden you get into a series. And even if Gobert stays the same, when you have time to game plan, you can do a better job of exposing
Gobert.
that type of stuff.
And the Celtics, I don't think, are going to have that problem, because it's like, yes, Tatum is their guy who can make Tatum can make every single shot. It doesn't matter. Step back threes, mid-range. He is just all levels of the field. Not quite KD level at it, but like, he is that type of player. And Jalen Brown, you just can't stop a guy like that. He's going to get his. And even on off nights, I think Jalen Brown can kind of pick up some slack. It's not just a one-man show here. The defensive baseline is really, really high. And since adding Derek White, I like the playmaking a little bit better. And they've just gotten better in that area in general over the past 2 months. So I'm a really big fan of the Celtics. They had a new coach this year. It's going to take some time to gel. Their playmaking was bad, but it's getting good. Their defense is really, really, really good. They do not have a Chris Paul-like player. No. They don't have a Kyle Lowry. They don't have a Josh Giddey. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll win the East, but I think they can get there. They don't have a Chris Paul. Everyone could use a Chris Paul, but with the defense they have, and I think Derek White is a guard who can maybe not be Chris Paul, but can provide playmaking at a degree that functions to get them to win them some series here. So I like the Celtics. I like their defense.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think it's a fun like out there. It's a hot take.
It's a hot take. It is,
but it's not. It's
what everyone thinks is going to happen doesn't, especially this year, and especially in the East.
This guy's not picking Bucks Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals.
No.
Although I do think the Bucks will get back to the Eastern Conference Finals at least. I
Yeah,
think if they don't meet, I think it'll be Bucks Heat. That would be my prediction. Because their defense is also lock up, and I just think Giannis is crazy good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that.
I think he keeps getting better too. And at the end, I mean, I don't know. Giannis really good. That team's still really good. They're mostly healthy. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't get back there.
Because the Heat,
Bucks would sweep the Heat. That'd be interesting.
I don't think so. I don't think they would. I think Bam is as good a person as any to put on Giannis, and I think that's what it comes down to. And I know that they weren't last year, and the Bucks swept the Heat last year, but the Heat shooting performance in that series was just so horrifically bad. And like Bryn Forbes was like hitting just threes on threes last series. Like, and you got to remember the Heat swept the Bucks the year before. So 2 of the last 3 years, it's been 4-4, you know, or 2 of the last 2 years, it's been a 4-4 series. So I enjoy, I think that'd be a great series. I think that would be an absolutely fantastic series.
I think it would too.
For the third, yeah,
I think it would too. That's what I'm rooting for. That's what I want to see. I want to see Heat Bucks. I think
Yeah,
that's
so
the most fun matchup. Um, I'd like to. I'm crossing my fingers for Heat, Bucks, Suns, Warriors. Or I mean, I'm
was
a
it
big
4-1?
Jokic
I
guy,
thought it
so
was a sweep.
it
It
was
was
4-1.
4-1. Oh,
Yeah.
boo.
Oh.
All right. Theo doesn't know ball. Theo forgets. All I know is the Suns went up 2-0, and then they ended up winning the series in dramatic fashion after being up 2-0, and nothing happened after that.
Who do you guys think the playing teams are in the West? I know the Pelicans are making it, and then they're going to win both their games, and the Hornets will get their pick. And outside of that, I'm not really sure.
I think it'll be let's see.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go look at the standings. We're getting down to it here.
I do like the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers have really impressed me considering the injuries they've had. The fact that they're the 8th seed is absolutely wild to me. But I don't know if they'll be able to hold on to that throughout the whole year. But they do have a 3-game lead on the Lakers here.
Dude, they're the 4 seed right now. Oh no, I'm looking at old.
No.
I'm looking at old. I'm dumb.
No, the Jazz are the 4
I was
seed.
about to say.
I think the play-in teams will be the Timberwolves and the Lakers. I think those are the 2 most talented teams outside the 6. The Nuggets could maybe drop some games, but I do think they'll get healthy by the end and start winning some games towards the end. I think the Timberwolves and the Lakers, I'm going to bet on the high-end talent that are hanging around that spot anyway. And those are my 6, 7. Those are, I think, going to be the 7 and 8 seed at least. And then maybe the Pelicans and Clippers. I don't know. Maybe those 4.
Denver being a 6 seed is just insane.
Yeah.
Jokic is just so good, dude.
Yeah.
I say it every stream. He has a good argument for being the best player in the league right now. And he has a good argument for MVP. If he was just a little bit higher seed, if he still had Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray was working at my university gym yesterday. How'd he look? You think I was reading this.
I thought you were talking about
said what's up.
Like,
no, I said what's up, but he didn't respond.
He's locked in. That's all that tells me.
In your opinion, do you think he'll be back by the playoffs? When do you think he's coming back? Looked
Bob
good.
Xavier. Okay, yeah, no, they'll be in the top 6.
Jamal Murray will be back by the playoffs. Bob Xavier reports.
I think he'll be back by the playoffs. I mean, maybe I'm just spoiled because I've seen so many like quick ACL turnarounds recently and Cam Akers and whatnot. But like, I find it hard to believe he'd be out an entire calendar year, and an entire calendar year would put him back before the playoffs. So I think he'll be back before the playoffs. But I guess I'm used to. I mean, I guess Bakhtiari, the Packers offensive tackle, tore his ACL, and he wasn't back in a calendar year. But I don't know.
I will say that on-off numbers, someone brought that up, do favor players on bad teams a little bit more.
Yeah.
But a plus 20 on-off is hard to argue against.
Yeah.
And that's what Jokic has right now. So I don't think he'll get it. I think they'll end up giving it to Embiid or Giannis. But he's definitely deserving of being in that discussion.
I would agree. And MPJ, I know they're thinking that he'll be back this season. Got a photo with the GOAT, Cody Zeller. Matt, have you ever gotten a picture with a famous person? What's the most famous person you've ever gotten a picture with? Mine is Jack Black. I got a picture with Jack Black when I met him in downtown Phoenix.
Famous person. I almost took one with Eric Reed one time at Panthers training camp, but then he had to go. It was very sad. I don't know. Maybe
have you ever seen a famous person just out and about? I mean, we saw LaMelo out at but we didn't get a picture with him.
That was almost not out. Like we were at summer
we weren't.
league,
Yeah, no, we were like out and about. We were literally in his hotel that we were there for summer league. So
most famous person I've ever taken a picture with. I don't know you, man.
Me, yeah, seriously.
Man, I can't think of any. Maybe not. I've maybe never seen a famous person ever in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen one, and that was Jack Black, but that's a pretty famous person. So, yeah, yeah.
The guy who was a Raptor mascot for 20 years, JJ Watt, when he was at Wisconsin. That's a
The
cool
guy
one.
was a Raptor mascot. Devin Booker's triggered at that. I have a bunch of friends from Denver, so I would also like to see the Nuggets come back. Although I would like to
Yeah.
see them all healthy and lose because I do like making fun of my Denver Nuggets fan friends. And they are pretty big rivals of the Suns in the West. So I would like to see them lose, but I don't want it to be a Mickey Mouse loss that I can't talk shit about when like their playoff loss last year when the Suns swept them, but it was just Jokic. I want them to all come back and be healthy and then lose so I can make fun of them with maximum efficiency. You know,
That makes sense.
same with the Jazz. I also don't like
That
the
makes
Jazz at all,
sense.
sadly.
You're
Sorry to
not a
any
big
Jazz
Jazz
fans out there.
fan.
No, I don't like the Jazz at all. People in Arizona don't like Utah. Utah is just a weird place. I don't think people in most of the country just don't like Utah that much, but I'm no different. You know, Jazz fans always arguing about, you know, the Suns and how overrated everybody on them is. It's like, can you please relax? Lost is amazing, Dean. Lost is my all-time favorite TV show. People will say it ends badly. I don't. I would disagree. I'm not going to say anything. I think that it's pretty good. As far
I
as
look
endings go.
as soon as I figure out how to work the word mid into Lost, I'm gonna say that because it's mid. I fear.
Have you seen the whole thing?
I've no, because it got too mid for me.
That's on you.
It's not. It's not. I fear.
I could never watch it again either, Jack H. But
because it's just so great.
Well, I don't watch anything twice. I've seen like 3 movies multiple times in my whole life, and I've seen one TV show more than once. So this is not
Which TV show?
Futurama, which I've said. I've watched Futurama more.
Oh yeah.
Just because the plot doesn't matter, and I like forget everything that happens in individual episodes. That's why I've seen that one twice.
Brutal take. This guy's only watched because this is Bladen on the Say Hot account. This guy.
No, it's not. Isn't it Michael?
Oh, I thought it was. Sometimes Bladen hops in here. I'm just saying that you were saying you don't rewatch stuff, and Bladen is notorious for he's only watched The Office.
He's one of those people that only watches The Office, which is just sorry, Bladen, but that's just so bad. Like people who only watch The Office is just like, can you please get a new TV show?
That and Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry and Star Wars Rebels or whatever he had as his #1 favorite TV show ever, even though he's a grown ass man. With all due respect,
dude, Bladen has easily the best list. When we did our list things, he could not pick 10 albums. He had the listening experiences, and then Tom and Jerry in the top 10 shows is awesome. But it's genuine.
Wait until it is genuine, and wait till his food takes are exactly what you'd expect from someone who thinks Star Wars Rebels is the greatest TV show of all time. Like one time, I think the worst food take I've ever heard from him is the time he was arguing that any food that you have to add a sauce to is not good. So like chips and salsa is bad because he doesn't like salsa. So like, I don't know. He just eats everything plain, or like he doesn't like chicken wings with any kind of sauce or spice to it. So he doesn't like ranch or like any kind of dip. He thinks like any food that you have to add a sauce to is just not good because it doesn't stand on its own.
Any food you have to cook isn't very good because
so
like,
it's
why
like
isn't it
what
already
what
ready?
do you like? I don't know what he's talking about because it's like, well, some things you just dip in things and that's just how you eat it. Like it's meant to be. Like you look at a chip and like it's usually like circular. Like they literally make them to scoop things. So like they're literally. Yes.
Hold. You don't like cheese.
No, that's my thing. I don't like cheese by its. Here's even the thing. I don't even dislike it. I just think it's overrated. I think it's overrated. I don't hate it. Cheese like queso, like I'll eat nachos with cheese or I'll eat a cheeseburger. I almost think of it like a condiment, like ketchup or Like I need cheese added to something. Some people will just like eat a slice of cheese by themselves. I'm not that kind of guy. And I think
I'm
like
that kind of guy. I love cheese. I
I'm
had
not a
I had
cheese.
a slice of Munster cheese last night, and it was quite good.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyone, yeah. You guys can say L on my cheese take, but I just do not. I just am not the biggest. You
and you
know,
don't like nuts either, right?
no, I don't like nuts. I think nuts. Here's the thing. When I say I don't like something, I don't want to get
It
branded as
means it
picky
mean
because
no,
I
no. It
don't.
means like in the sense like a 4-year-old won't eat some like broccoli. You push it away,
No,
right?
that's not me. That's not me. I will eat anything you put in front of me. I'm not a picky eater. But I don't love nuts. I think that the texture is just a little bit too dry. It feels like eating tree bark to me. Like nuts. But if that's the only thing that I well, Bladen will, at least you aren't allergic. Bladen will be quick to remind us that he is allergic to tree nuts specifically, which he somehow finds a way to bring up in every conversation. But bacon, egg, and cheese go crazy. I don't disagree. I love bacon, eggs, and cheese, but it's mostly because of the bacon and eggs. But I like bacon, egg, and cheese. I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh, I'm not going to eat that. It's got cheese on it. I'm not picky.
We were
I'm a
no. This is we were in Vegas and Theo accidentally ordered a cheeseburger and he said, "Ooh, yucky," and he like picked the cheese off
yeah.
in front of the waiter too. It was really really weird.
Bladen is the type of person to not eat something with onions in it. That's like the difference between me and him. Is like I don't like cheese. I don't think he likes onions. Like he will like literally like
I love onions.
Onions are awesome.
Dude, I made some.
Caramelized onions are like the best burger topping. And
I
bacon.
had some chicken. I had some onions on it. I made like a little. Had corn and onions and chicken. It was very good. I made it last night. I was very proud of myself.
I live in an alternate universe where Theo had to gritty. It was close. I was trying to think of. I was watching Justin Jefferson do it, trying to get the moves down, but then luckily Cooper Kupp bailed me out in a lot of different ways. Anyway,
I don't know. I'm kind of jealous of your Bengals take, man. I think you had a really good time with it, and I think I got to come up with a take like that.
I like it now because they didn't win the Super Bowl. If they would have won the Super Bowl, it would have gotten substantially less fun. Because like people legitimately would not have taken me seriously next year at all. This year to end it also on the prediction that Eli Apple would lose it late in the fourth quarter, losing to Cooper Kupp 1-on-1 and having that take and that being the last thing that happened in the season was just such a buzzer beater. And I was so excited. Awesome. So I did kind of save my legacy at the end of that Rams game. I also did bet on the Rams to win the Super Bowl after the Von Miller trade. Like I won a decent amount of money with a futures bet that happened exactly after that. This is again,
you
not
bet
NBA,
on the Bengals
but,
to win it too, didn't you?
I ended up not doing that. And I actually I ended up not doing that. And I ended up betting on a very large alternate spread for the Rams for a big win.
Really?
I still made money because of the because of the futures bet on the Rams, but I didn't make as much as I could have because I was like, I'm gonna bet on I didn't bet on the insurance policy. But anyway, this is an NBA. This is NBA Super Bowl talk. No. If the NBA, I don't know, maybe I'll bet a futures bet on an NBA thing. Maybe I'll put it.
You know what stinks about the NBA? There's never any good dark horse championship teams. It's probably the Heat.
Yeah.
It's probably the Heat or maybe the best call for that. And they're literally the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Giannis is a top two
the Suns. The Suns were like the Suns were a very like dark horse championship team last year, and they were the 2 seed and like won 55 games in a shortened season. The Raptors, I guess, were kind of a sleeper team. What was their seeding when they won the finals a couple of years ago? I have to imagine it was
the Raptors.
Worse, yeah.
It was like 2, 1 maybe. I don't remember.
Was that the 2019 Raptors that won? I believe that's the case.
Yes.
Yeah, they were the 2 seed. Yeah.
Yeah, dark horse teams just don't happen in the NBA, and it's lame. That's one of the things I don't love about the NBA. I think it's tough because I don't ever want to say like there should be less playoff basketball, but it would definitely be more exciting if there were not 7-game series and it was shorter series, make it more likely for upsets to happen. Um, but I think that's kind of the vibe of the NBA, and I'm okay with it being a different thing from football.
The play-in sort of does that. I almost wonder if they could do like they could still, because I do like the playoff. I really enjoy that. What was it? A Lakers Warriors playing game last year. That was a great game that LeBron won on that dagger 3 at the end. But I almost wonder if the playing games could happen instead of like it going down to like the like 9th and 10th seed. It could go down to like the play-in could happen between like the 8 and the 7 seed or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It would be kind of cool if they shortened who could make the playoffs, and they did like they gave like maybe the top team a bye. Like if you're the 1 seed, you get a bye. A little bit more stakes at the top of for the teams at the top, and then have it so where like the 7 and the 8 play, and only one of them gets in. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's more stakes at the top and the
Celtics
bottom.
are the dark horse team. That's the thing. I don't know. Like, I guess right now there kind of is maybe some dark horses because the East is so open right now. I think the Celtics could be a dark horse team. Like that's what I was talking about earlier. But by the time that the playoffs start, I think we'll kind of know if they're dark horses or not. Like either they make their run now or they don't. But yeah, I do think that the Celtics are a dark horse team at this current moment. But I don't know. The NBA playoffs are fine overall. I don't think that anyone needs to make any major changes to them. But it is disappointing that like the 8 seed ever, the 8 seed has beat the 1 seed one time ever, right? So it's like,
and they expanded it. Like we need more teams then,
right? Oh,
but
do we?
I don't know, man. See the Pelicans getting in and maybe
Grizzlies are a dark horse. Yeah, Grizzlies could be a dark horse, but even they're like the 3 seed.
It's tough.
Mavericks.
I'm talking about actually winning the finals. I mean, anyone's a dark horse. Anyone in the playoffs is just like, what's their odds? But anyone could get enough injury luck to make it happen.
You know what I bet on the other day? I guess let's see the NBA bets. Let's see the odds for everyone. Maybe I'll put a bet on some team to win the playoffs.
Hold on.
I bet on the Browns to win the Super Bowl next year. Yesterday, because their odds are so long right now. But if they were to upgrade, Baker to someone else, I put $10 on it to win like $200 something. I don't think they'll do it, but I thought that was a pretty interesting bet. I'm mad because I'm not able to bet on the first overall pick in the draft at this point on FanDuel because I am 100% certain it is going to be Evan Neal. And I feel like he would be plus money right now, but there is no money. But anyway, once again, talking about basketball, talking about the 2022 champion. Oh, wait, no, this is college basketball, and Gonzaga's the favorite. Yeah, like that'll ever happen.
I remember I made some money betting in like 8th grade when Kentucky was like undefeated that they wouldn't win at all. I remember. And now that guy plays in college, like he plays college basketball. I forget his name. But I remember very specifically being like, there's just no way that works out and they're perfect in March Madness. It was 1-for-1 to plus 100. I love those odds. So
the outright betting for the NBA championship, the Suns and the Warriors have the best 2 odds at plus 460. And then the Bucks are at plus 550. That might be the best bet, is the Bucks repeating at plus 550. The Heat are plus 1,100. If I bet $10 on the Heat winning, I would win $110. I'm going to do that. I'm going to bet on the Heat to win. And then I'm also going to bet on I'll put $10 on the Bucks winning. All right. I'll put $10 on the Suns winning. And I'll put $10 on the Warriors winning. So if any of those teams win, I will make money. I think that's pretty broken.
That's pretty. That is kind of broken. Who's the favorite after those three teams?
The Nets and the Sixers. Honestly, I should put $10 on the Nets and Sixers too, and also the Celtics. If I put $10 on every team winning the finals, I think I would make money. I think that's an infinite money hack. Am I right about this?
Yeah, I would say infinite money. I'd say infinite. I'd say spend everything you have.
I have a bet. I have $20 on the Bulls winning over 43 games that I had over. Let's see. How many games have they won? How close am I to hitting? They've won 37, so they better win 7 games the rest of the season.
I think your odds are pretty good.
That was a ridiculous. We had that under-over show before the year, and the Bulls over-under being 43.5 was just hilariously low.
Or what was the other one that we were really high on? The Pelicans
under. Yes. Which
what was it? It was like 30. It was like almost 40 at one point. I mean, it was insanely high.
Yes. Yeah, we were really high on.
Granted,
I didn't end up doing that though. I ended up betting on only the Bulls over. That was the one I felt the most confident in.
Why don't you want to make money, man?
I do want to make money. That's why I bet the Heat, Bucks, Suns, and Warriors to all win the finals. I'm gonna be pissed if the Nets pull it off. Maybe I should put $10 on the Nets also. And also the Sixers.
I mean, if you want to cover all your bases, let's
and the Grizzlies.
No, we're super big on the Heat over. We can't lose. We can't lose.
If we bet what?
We were super high on the Heat over.
Yes. Yeah, no, we can't lose.
And with the Pelicans, it's a little fraudulent. It's a little fraudulent because Zion got hurt, but also my logic is that Zion was going to get hurt.
Zion was going to get hurt, yeah. No fraudulent things there.
Nope.
We were also pretty high on the Nuggets over. I believe we were kind of high on that as well.
I remember it was low. What was the Nuggets under over? Does anyone remember? I mean, they're sitting here at 32 and 25. Granted, Michael Porter Jr. getting hurt does make that tough. Horrible. For the 9 games he played, yeah.
It was their preseason odds were 47.5 was their over under. And we liked that.
They still might hit that. They're 7 over 500 right now. 47 is 5 over 500. So they're on pace.
I wonder how much you would make if you bet on the Cavs over. Well, you won't make that much because over-unders are all the same odds, basically, if they hit over. If you bet them over to be the 2 seed at this point, you'd make a lot of money, but simply hitting their over-under, if they go way over or just a little bit over, it doesn't, change how much money you make. So you wouldn't make that money.
Who would I bet on for MVP? I don't know. Let's look up the NBA MVP odds. My gut tells me that maybe
I have Giannis odds, so it better be him. Let's see. Player futures. MVP.
Embiid holds the lead
by a decent amount. Embiid holds the lead, and I think that's who I would bet on. Is Embiid.
The problem with MVP odds is that it's not like you need everyone to agree with you. You're like, what are the odds that people agree that this is the best player? It's not just like they can win a couple games or a series or whatever, and you end up being right. So if the narrative, what's the narrative around Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid? Those guys are all really close. And maybe at the end of the year, the guy who is the third best ends up the best and you are right. But if the narratives aren't going your way, probably not.
I put $10 on Jokic, Giannis, and also Joel Embiid.
Did you?
I think I would lose money if Embiid won, actually, by doing that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't lose as much.
I just bet on everyone. Can't lose. I think bet on Tyrese Halliburton to be a future All-NBA player.
I don't think that's a prop that is open. I'm mad because I bet $5 on Paul George leading the league in scoring before the season. And I bet $5 to win $175. and then he got hurt. But it was looking like a pretty good bet before that.
Where was he?
He was
Before.
at, I guess he was only at 24.7 points per game. So maybe it wasn't, because I think Giannis is leading right now at about 29. So maybe that wasn't as good a bet as I thought it was.
If Embiid stays healthy, he'll win MVP. But my pick of Giannis for MVP really has all my bases covered.
Yeah.
I'll say something about Jokic. Yeah, maybe I'll give like Jokic should be the MVP. So then no matter what happens, I'm 100% safe. I was so convinced Curry was going to win it though in the middle of the season. I'm like, man, I'm like, how bad would he have to play to lose his lead? Well,
that bad.
We found out. That take
bad.
was such a cop out. Embiid, if he stays healthy, will win MVP. I mean, I didn't pick him to win MVP. I picked Giannis to win MVP, but it was because I thought Embiid would get hurt, and it's not the end of the season yet. So I'm still quote tweeting it if it happens. If he stays healthy and wins MVP, I take my cop out wins.
Yeah, we do take those. What other weird bets are there? Can you bet on MVP of the All-Star game? When even is the All-Star game?
It's the 20th or something, the 22nd.
All right.
Something
Team
like that.
Durant is 6-point underdogs. The over-under is 319 and a half, which is
it's interesting.
You're projecting at least like a 160 to 160 type of game there. I might bet the under there. I think teams are a little bit more locked down now in the new. What was the score of the last All-Star game? In the new format, I feel like defense is a little bit more.
I think. So you're going to be watching the All-Star game cheering for them not to score. That's not right. Never bet the under unless it's the Pelicans this one time. If I was at the beginning of the year, but that's different. But never bet the under. It's just not right. It's not what you're supposed to do.
Nah, you should.
It was 170 to 150 last year.
That's below. That's a couple. Oh, that's 320. No, that is. I guess that is the over, which is what they set it at this year, basically exactly.
Opinions on the All-Star jerseys. I thought they were really bad, dude. I'm debating getting a LaMelo one because he's in the All-Star game. He's an All-Star, but they're so bad. I don't want to. I'm afraid.
I don't understand how they keep fucking these up. I don't think it's that hard to design a cool jersey. I designed a cool jersey for the Red Hawks in about 20 minutes. And yes, it looked just like ASU's jerseys, but that's okay. You know, or it's not the Red Hawks. The Red Hogs was my jersey concept for the Commanders. But yeah, anyway. Bet the over. They need offense. Look, the under is a good thing to bet because as soon as a game starts, you're winning.
But then you could be losing at the end of it, and that's really what matters.
Nah, but it starts. Everyone is always betting the over because most people think like you do, where it's like I'm not a coward. So automatically the under is like a safer bet because it tends to be a little bit higher than it should be. Right. I think the under hits more often than the over does.
Nope. But when the over hits, it's like a legit win. It's not about the money. It's honorable. That's the difference. Would you rather become a loser or become a winner? Because that's the difference between you become a winner with the over. You become a loser.
Just bet on a virtual Greyhound race. Who'd you bet on?
Are you copying the Rick and Morty's? Yes, I am. I will be if I can get my hands on the LaMelo Ball Rick and Morty shoes. I'm getting my hands on them. 2 years ago, the Hornets' best player in 2K was Cody Zeller, and now we have signature Rick and Morty shoes from a player on the team. How far we've come.
Yeah. Yeah. The under hits a little bit more often in general, but not enough to be profitable. Fuck
No.
you.
It's like 50.5%, 49.5%. Virtual sport to bet on is so rigged. Then don't bet on it, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, I just bet on virtual Greyhound races. Any virtual sport to bet on is so rigged. Sounds like someone who just lost their virtual Greyhound bet. You know, I don't know. I don't know what other NBA. We could probably wrap this up. I don't know what other NBA topics we have to talk about this week. We talked about the Hornets. We talked about the Celtics. We talked about the Heat, the Bucks. We talked about
we talked about the Hornets, and I threw in Cam Newton's
talked
name
about
at some
Cam
point,
Newton.
so I'm all good. That's all I have to say. I've got to stop. It's bad. It's so bad. I can't help myself.
We talked about Zion. We talked about I said a team should try to be as close to the Suns as possible, which is what I say on every single stream. I got my Suns takes in. So I think that we're pretty much wrapped up. Anytime we start mentioning virtual Greyhound races, that's probably our sign to wrap it up.
We're out of things to talk about, I'm afraid.
What NBA player do I think would listen to Death Grips? I don't know. I listen to Death Grips, by the way, chat. Death Grips is good. We already talked about Shea. We talked about Shea, and we talked about
who's on my fantasy team. That's what we missed out on.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that. Is Giddy on your fantasy team?
He is. Shea and Giddy are on my fantasy team.
No
on my dynasty
way.
Yeah, there's only 9 players on the entire team too. Shea and Giddy are both on the team.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for us. Unless you had.
I'm trying to think of an NBA player who would listen to Death Grips. I don't know. Apparently, during a Memphis game, Memphis played I've Seen Footage, the instrumental.
I've Seen Footage is a good one.
But there we go. They're all good if you get in the right mindset. But yeah, no. So maybe Ja Morant has been by force has had to listen to I've Seen Footage. Although this was 3 years ago, so maybe Valanciunas, yeah.
Hey,
gotta be someone lame
Matt,
like Miles Turner. Miles Turner does not listen to Death Grips. He listens to Drake. He's a Drake fan if I've ever seen one.
My favorite Radiohead album's OK Computer, but Amnesiac's up there. And someone earlier said you seem like a moon-shaped pool type of guy, and I am. I'm really high on that album.
Fair,
but yeah, that's. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm high on the Benz. I'm a big Benz fan. Yeah. I also like Amnesiac. Those are maybe, and OK Computer obviously is goated as well. But yeah. Anyway, that wraps things up.
I think that about does it for us. I appreciate you guys coming out. Go watch my free agency video that just went up today, and then listen to all the podcasts and subscribe and all the and all the stuff you're supposed to do on a YouTube channel. And I'll catch y'all later.